What is going on, everybody? You know who it is here, and today I thought I'd do a little bit of a different video. Something that I've wanted to do for a little while is talk about my hi-fi rig, as obviously I use the channel to talk about music, but also I am a sort of intermediate, kind of beginnery intermediate level as far as it goes with some sort of hi-fi equipment. I wouldn't say I'm like a massive audiophile, but I do appreciate a good hi-fi system, and I'm very proud of the one that I have. I put a lot of research and investment into getting it to where it is. So basically, I'm going to start off with the brains of my hi-fi rig here, which is this amazing, lovely Cambridge CXA 81 stereo integrated amplifier. Um, yeah, so obviously it's the integrated amp, so all of my sound sources go through this device if I'm listening to stuff on loudspeakers. So, you know, my turntable's hooked up to it. That's where I Bluetooth a lot of stuff to it, and obviously my disc player underneath it is linked up to it. It has a lot of power for, you know, I've never really listened to it on full blast because I don't really need to, but it just has an amazing presentation, and it can handle just about any kind of music, and just you know, really have a lot of muscle in the sound, but also, you know, just present the music really well without being too biased to any particular sort of level, you know, being bass, mids and trebles. It's just a really great sort of, I wouldn't say necessarily neutral, because I say it's quite a vibrant dancey presentation, but yeah, so it's just a really great bit of kit. Below it is the newest addition to my hi-fi rig. This is my Cambridge CXC, which is of the same series as the CXA81. So they're basically designed to work together. But I recently added this because obviously I've started collecting CDs again, and yeah, this is another really awesome bit of equipment. This is a CD transport, so on its own it can't actually play CDs. You have to hook it up to an external DAC, that being a digital to analog converter, for those who don't know. Luckily, the CXA81 has a Wolfson DAC built in, which is what this is connected to. Other than that, I have another DAC I could connect it to if I wanted to. But the idea behind that is that if you have a built-in DAC into the CD transport, it can sort of affect the quality of the sound. What a lot of sort of audio technicians and sound designers say is that, you know, if you're transporting audio, if you're transporting it and you want to have a DAC towards the end of your signal, and you know, the truth and the sort of, you know, science behind that is obviously beyond me. I'm not one of these people that develops this gear, but what I will say is that the sound quality that I get from this thing in tandem with the CXA81 amp is just unbelievable. I've always maintained that CDs have the best sound quality for sort of home listening purposes, and yeah, it's just when I got this thing and I put on some albums that I knew quite well, that it was just night and day between streaming and, you know, most other forms of how I've listened to those albums. Just the amount of quality and the detail. And also the immediacy is one thing I really love when this is hooked up. So I say, even if I'm streaming something to this amp, you get more immediacy, more urgency to the presentation to the music when you're listening through the CD. Okay, cool. So next I'm going to talk about my turntable. So this is a mighty fine device. This is the Rega P1 Plus. Sorry, it's very dark in here right now. I'll just try and see if you can see that there. But yeah, so this is Rega's P1, which is their sort of entry-level turntable, but this has a built-in phono preamplifier. So if you buy the standard one, you'll need to have an external phono preamp, which is sort of something that a lot of turntables use in order to transmit the signal from the disc to, you know, your amplification source. But yeah, this is just a really great, basically all-in-one package that Rega do, and it's a really nice presentation. Out of the box, you know, it has a really good sound, but I did upgrade the cartridge because it comes with a stock Rega cartridge, which is fine, but with a lot of turntable manufacturers, that's where they'll cut costs, and with the Rega one, you know, I feel like you're not getting the fullest potential, so I've upgraded it here with this Sumiko Pearl, which is a really great cartridge. I'd heard it in a few places, and I thought, you know, turntables, when they're equipped with this, it had a bit more depth, and I could just sort of sense that it was tracking a bit better. This has been professionally set up by a really, really great hi-fi place that is only about an hour from where I live. It's called Hiphonics, and they're in a beautiful location out in the countryside where they have a really great listening room where you can go and get your equipment serviced and then sit in their waiting room and listen to their sort of £200,000 to £300,000 worth of stereo equipment. It's absolutely nuts. But yeah, anyway, that's the Rega P1 Plus. I do kind of like the idea of one day moving to a turntable that has not a non-integrated phono, because I wouldn't mind getting an external phono stage, just because I find that now that I've got the disc player, while this thing is fine and it's great, I do find that sometimes it lacks a bit of muscle, where I feel like I could get a bit more potential. So, you know, one day I think that might be the next thing that I upgrade in the system, but I haven't got any complaints with it. It's a really great bit of gear. Yeah, that's the Rega P1 Plus. Going to move on now to my speakers. So I've got a pair of these wonderful things. That is a Triangle BR03. For those of you that don't know, Triangle are a French loudspeaker manufacturer, and because I am sort of somewhat limited with the room that I have in this space, I've gone for some stand mount speakers. And when I was choosing speakers, I tested a lot of different options, but I was really desperate to get some floor standing speakers, but I just don't have the space right now. Maybe one day when I have more space, hopefully I'll be able to upgrade to some floor standers. But the reason why I went with these is not just is the presentation really natural and there's great spatial separation between the instruments, but the fact that the sound stage of these speakers, for a speaker that costs, I think, sort of 400 for a pair, 400 GBP, you know, they sound like speakers that cost thousands, and the soundstage is amazing. You know, if you close your eyes, you could easily be mistaken for thinking these are floor standing speakers just with how massive they can sound. Again, they handle so much different music really well, and they're just really, really detailed bits of kit, and I love them. And I love the colour that I went for, this beautiful white with this sort of I'm going to say sort of maple outer shell. It's just, you know, really nice bit of kit. Now moving on to the more sort of headphoney area. This is a really, really special bit of equipment I've got here. This is the Chord Electronics Hugo 2. So what this is it's a DAC and headphone amplifier. Now, Chord Electronics are a legendary British hi-fi brand, and they make super premium stuff. So this is probably one of the more premium bits of gear that I own. But I just had to get this when I was upgrading my gear. You know, you can send any kind of audio file into this, be it MP3, CD, Blu-ray, you name it, and whatever you feed to this machine, it will just take that information and just maximize the texture and the quality of that information to give you the best sound possible. So, you know, if I Bluetooth something to it, the thing should have, I think the center light lights up blue and it will recognize whatever you're sending to it. And then, you know, I'll have that as my headphone amplifier for these, which I'll go on to in a minute. But yeah, this is just a really wicked bit of gear. I'll see if I can turn it on and see how it all lights up for you guys. Yeah, see, look at that. It's just beautiful. Their device is Chord Electronics. Their design is completely space age and it's completely unique, and it's just a really beautiful bit of kit. But again, I can connect this up to my stereo system up here, and you know, I can Bluetooth stuff to it so it comes out through that, and you know, you get the sort of chord flavour of the DAC that comes out through the speakers. It's a really useful bit of kit, and yeah, it's just amazing, and you can get quite a lot of charge time out of it as well. And then finally, I'm going to talk about, just here, don't mind the PlayStation games, this is my beloved Audeze LCD-X speakers. I believe these are plain on magnetic. They feature a kind of technology that I think it's quoted that NASA also uses, these sort of fibres within the cups themselves that are thinner than a human hair, and they're just basically supposed to control the vibrational frequency so you get a more natural sound. Now, these are open-backed headphones, so for those of you that aren't familiar, open-backed headphones are what a lot of musicians will use in studios and sort of mixing artists, because they create a bigger soundstage. When you close off the back of a pair of speakers, you know, like your Sony outdoorsy speakers in your Beats. A lot of them are closed back because you don't want to hear the world around you, and you know that's fine, and you get a lot more bass with them because they're closed off. But with these open backed, you get a bigger sound stage. The reason why I went with the Audeze LCDX is that I was originally going to go for the Sennheiser HD 800. I think that's the name. I can't remember. It's been so long. But these just have a bit more beef to them, and I think that's due to the cups being a bit bigger. But with a lot of reference speakers, they can get a bit fatiguing because they're so revealing on the sounds. But yeah, these Audeze LCDXs aren't fatiguing. You know, I can use these for hours and they just sound incredible. So whenever I want to have a really in-depth listen to something, or if I want to just, you know, listen to an album that I know, but I want to have like the best rendition of that recording, then I will go to this sort of DAC with the Chord and put on my LCDXs. So yeah guys, that's just a quick little video about my hi-fi rig. I've got some more sort of rig related stuff about different rigs that I have that I want to talk about. Thanks for tuning in, and stay metal, stay brutal. You know who it is.